Welcome to a solo episode of the Elevated Frequency Podcast. My name is Lisa Kirby. I am the co-founder of The Green Door Life, and I'm coming to you live in mid-October 2025 with just some rawness and realness. I'm in my workout clothes still. I got back this morning from an epic workout at a local gym that we found here right outside of Austin, Texas, really just to meet people and have that in-person touch and connection has been so much more important to me. So actually on that topic, I wanted to talk about something that has been life-changing for me just in the past 30 days or so. As you know, I love sharing real-time experiments that I'm always conducting on myself. Most of us have probably felt a pretty intense and epic shift on September 10th, not even just in the United States, but globally. And I was subject to that same intense energy, and something really stirred in me to make a change. I've been running the Green Door Life's Instagram account since 2019. And what's interesting is I had already largely been off of Instagram, maybe posting like once a year by that point, just personally. I didn't use it much. I had 2 young kids. I was a working mom in corporate, had a lot on my plate, carrying a lot in my mid-30s. And Instagram was just the last place I wanted to spend any time and energy. When I think back now, a few things come to mind. One, it was nowhere near as intense and in your face. I don't think it had advertisements at all. There was a timeline scroll that was completely chronological and you only saw who you followed. There was no Snapchat. It was a totally different app. So I never had this feeling of being hooked or drawn into it. I had already given up Facebook at that point. I was just like, who has time for this? I have work and I'm a mom and trying to take care of myself as best as I can, let alone being a wife and a sister and a daughter and whatever else and a friend. Like, where do you fit this in? It didn't fit into my life. So it didn't have a lot of draw for me at the time, mostly because I didn't have the time. I didn't make time for that. Fast forward to 2019, and that's when the Green Door Life really kicked off. And I had to make a change at that point. I wanted to obviously make the most of our business and reach the most people and spread the word. And utilizing social media is just modern day marketing. You know, we've moved from flyers and word of mouth, although largely our clients are still coming to us through referrals from our other clients' amazing experiences. But it's just changed. The way of marketing and sharing about your business and just sharing about your services has morphed into this online space. And so it was something that at first I was definitely nervous about. I never went on camera, and this was before it was a video thing anyway. Maybe I would do some photos and a caption, but I really enjoyed it at first when Instagram was more photo-based because it allowed me to write, and I love writing. I love writing. I love teaching. I love sharing information. I'm a total nerd and lover of learning, and I wear that badge proudly. I can't get enough. I'm just like, oh, Sagittarius rising. There's so much to learn in the world. My dream is Neo from The Matrix when he clicks in and then they load in how to be a Kung Fu master and then he learns it in 5 seconds. But anyway, it takes a little longer to learn and master concepts, although much faster than back in the day. And so at first, I really enjoyed it. It gave me the opportunity to think through concepts and develop our brand, which to this day still carries that message of value first and education forward. And so we have started that way from the get-go. We don't tell our clients what to do. We teach them the science, we teach them the foundation, and then it's really this co-creation. It's a relationship of coach and client, and that evolves over time. It's very dynamic, and we coach to what's coming up. The transformation happens with the coaching. Information alone does not transform you. So I did love that part, and I dove in, and then Reels came, and then the algorithm changed, and then you started seeing ads. And so slowly over time, it has become this app that became this space that felt very, I don't know any other phrase for it than vampire energy. It felt like it was taking so much from me. And I would go on there and be like, I'm just trying to do an educational post. And then you would get bombarded with some of the accounts I started following. And then, of course, the algorithms like, you like that? Let me send you 100 more videos like that. And slowly, this thing becomes your world. You're kind of like, there's so many business owners out there and everyone's talking about marketing. And it's like, no, if you look at anyone else's feed, they're having a totally different experience. So I started to develop this complex of I need to be doing more. There's so much more that I can be doing. And what's the latest Instagram trend? And how do we get our life-changing, heart-centered, service-oriented mission and program out to people? We just want to help people. We just want to tell people we're open. We have a solution. We are so lit up by what we do because it freaking works. And it has taken us from feeling so not at ease in our bodies and how that clouds every moment of every day of your life into feeling amazing. And so always getting back to our why, we're like, we need everyone to know this. It's such important information. We wish this was taught to children. We wish nutrition basics and self-care basics were taught in kindergarten. With that underlying mission, I started to develop this not enough script. And so I started to feel almost anxiety from being in the app. There's so much more I can do. I need to do 100 million more things with our Instagram account. And I'm not trying to deter anyone from a strong work ethic or taking action, but it turned more from something that was very divinely inspired. I would post when I felt really, really lit up and inspired. At this point, when I took it over in 2019, it was like 4 hours a day I would spend on a post, creating it in Canva, writing the caption, putting so much time and thought and energy into it, and then interacting with people who were digesting it and asking questions or being like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. And it was very rewarding. It felt like the time that I was putting into this thing was giving back. And we built our reputation largely, obviously through referrals, but also we built a brand on Instagram. I remember writing down some business goals and marketing goals. I just want 10,000 followers. That took us years to get there, years of just consistent repetition over and over and over. And so now looking back, it's kind of funny. I have to chuckle because it's so similar to what we do and what we teach in Awaken Your Nutrition. It's like, yeah, you want to build muscle. This is not a month's game. This is a year's game. I've been lifting weights for 25 years and I am in no way bored of working my body. I genuinely have come to appreciate how beneficial it is and how it makes me feel. So to me, it was no different with marketing and owning a business. And it's really interesting when you become a business owner. I knew nothing about it. I came from corporate where you were just told what to do. And then you just every day, I was like, I hope I don't lose my job. And I would always hyperachiever, overperform, mostly out of fear. It's very innate for me to work hard, but also there was this constant fear of I might be let go. And then meanwhile, I'm looking around and gosh, the people who seem to be working the least and putting in the least effort are the ones getting promoted. And when the transition came for me to take this opportunity and start the Green Door Life with Shannon, it was a no-brainer. So going on this journey though, I was like, everyone needs this support. I'm so passionate about it. I'm so lit up about it. Coaching's going to be amazing. It's not going to be hard to get clients. And then there's the whole business side of being a business owner. You can have the coach side and be really good at that and be heart-centered and service-oriented and lead with value and education. And then there's the business side that is very much the masculine, looking at logistics and real life things that you have to examine and manage, no different than your personal banking account. So looking at expenses, looking at income coming in, looking at our overhead that has grown as we've added more services and support for our clients, and looking at hard line of, okay, what's our financial goals this month whilst retaining our mission and service forward approach. So that part, all the certifications and training for nutrition don't teach you the business and marketing side. That had already been this initiation to a new way of developing that I had never, ever been a part of before. And wow, does it not stop? It is no different to me being a business owner than parenting. It's just eternal growth and you are constantly developing and there's no end. There's no end. So anyway, all this to say, I had reached this point with marketing and especially on Instagram that felt like it was siphoning so much of my energy and my own voice started to get lost in terms of following my intuition and divinely inspired action. Instead, I was just like, I need to take all the action and all the time, and I can be doing more. And so at that point, when September 10th happened this year, it was such a moment of reckoning, as if I need one more reason to get off this app. Here it is. I am so done. I want nothing to do with this app, like an entity that had its hooks in me and was just siphoning my energy. I'm so tired of this onslaught of information. And of course, like everybody's algorithm is different, but I think that one really hit a lot of us across the board and was kind of impossible to avoid. And so I decided, you know what? I actually don't need this freaking app on my phone. I don't need it to be something that I'm constantly checking. And I made the decision to delete the app. I didn't really have a game plan at first if this is going to be indefinite. I knew I could access Instagram from my desktop computer for work. We have a lot of conversations with potential clients and even current clients on Instagram and DMs. We share behind the scenes just so people can get to know us in stories. And of course, our love and passion is still providing free education through social media. And so I was aware that I had the ability to still use the app should I need it. But what I noticed that was so interesting and what prompted me to film this solo cast was that I noticed withdrawal symptoms in the first few days of deleting the app. I noticed that I was going to check my phone and I was just like, swipe, swipe. Where is it? It's not there. And noticing that it was such a reaction whenever I had any moment of just a microsecond of downtime. I see now how bad it had gotten, but I wasn't aware or realizing it because I was so in it and constantly just thinking about our business and marketing and pushing and driving and doing more, more, more. And I had also launched a social media club. And so I was really in it, sourcing trending audio, coaching others on how to do it. So it was shocking to me how just physically I kept going back to my phone. Oh my God, and it's not here. And how many times I was doing that in the day. And, all with this underlying drive that was associated with got to do it for business, got to answer that DM immediately, can't let that sit for more than 20 seconds, constantly being available 24/7, like checking it as I put my kids to bed, responding to DMs in the dark with my red light filter on, and constantly being attached to that thing. And so it was shocking. It actually, more than shocking, it was disturbing. It was really disturbing. How could I let this happen? I had to then soften how I was speaking to myself because here I was judging myself for so many things. I had to remind myself that this app, not only this app, but your phone is designed to be addicting. It's designed to keep you coming back for more. It's designed with science-backed research of how do we get your brain, how do we get ahead of your prefrontal cortex that has more conscious awareness of decision making so that it's getting into your primal brain of how do we get them hooked and staying in the app and more on your phone. That made me feel a little bit better. There's greater forces at play here that are influencing me. I, at that point, did not have the energy or the brain space or the desire to manage one more thing. Here's the perfect analogy. This is how it felt. When I first learned about nutrition and I drastically cut back on alcohol, as many people who drink a lot of alcohol know, when you remove alcohol, you often get an upswing in appetite and sugar cravings because alcohol greatly dysregulates your blood sugar. And when I first started learning about nutrition and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm putting in so much effort, eating so well and so balanced and so amazing and really treating my body well. And then I'm drinking and it doesn't match my goals anymore. It doesn't match the identity of who I actually want to be. And so when I cut that back, I was dealing with not only emotions coming to the surface, but increased hunger and then more specifically, sugar cravings that were almost unbearable. And so part of my healing journey was I had to make peace with finding something that felt satiating, but was a little bit more balanced than just straight sugar. So every night I gave myself permission, and it took me about a year. Every night I was like, I'm having dessert every night in my new body, in my more fit, healthy body. Instead of alcohol, I had dessert, but it was a modified dessert. It had more protein. I still remember it, PB Fit with protein powder. So it was yummy, delicious, high protein peanut butter. And then I would smear it all over a piece of sourdough bread and then sprinkle it with a few chocolate chips. And that was just heaven given to me. It felt like a cookie. But at the time, because I was battling, I was dealing with this thing that felt greater than me. It felt addictive. It had hooks in me, this sugar craving. At the time, I wasn't strong enough. My blood sugar had not come to a more holistic place, a more balanced place long enough. It wasn't steady enough in my footing to be surrounded by cakes and pastries and cookies and be like, no, I'm good. I don't actually need that. You know what I'm saying? So I had asked my husband one night, because he doesn't have that problem. He's one of the weirdos, I say, that grew up in a family where they would buy ice cream and it would just sit there. They would have small servings and it would just be there for months, maybe a year. I don't even know how to comprehend that. I come from a large Italian family, and if we ever had dessert in our house, cookies, ice cream, mom, dad, I love you. I am not hating or judging. It just like, this is the way it was. All of us Kirbys have it. If there were cookies in the house, goodbye. They were gone. I'm not even, we're talking minutes here. There were 5 of us. Okay. So the cookies come out, they're gone in 5 minutes. We are all binging. Okay. And we didn't have dessert a lot, but when we did, you had to get your row. And so there was no messing around. I had to get my row, and then you had to scarf it down, and maybe you could come back and get an extra 2 in there if you were lucky. And so that was just my relationship with a lot of food, but especially cookies and sugar and desserts in general. And so I had asked my husband one night, as I was making this transformation and this conscious change, I said, I'm begging you, can we please not have dessert in the house? I don't know how long I need this to happen, but are you willing to work with me? I'm not saying we can never have dessert as a family. That's ridiculous. I'm asking if we can get ice cream out of the house. It could be a special occasion. And of course, amazing husbands supported me. And this is my point. Not having to manage that thing where I could satisfy my craving and satiation with this concoction of PB Fit and protein powder on toast with chocolate chips. Good, solid, satiated, binge eating averted, but not having to manage the cookies in the house, the ice cream in the house. I never really was that into ice cream, but honestly, if it was the only thing there, I would get in it. And so not having that around in the house, it allowed me to feel safe. It was less pressure. It was one less thing to manage, one less thing to think about. I mean, I would lay in bed if there were cookies in the house. And even if I was able to regulate in the moment and have 1 cookie or 2 cookies, if they were still available and they hadn't been fully eaten, I would lay in bed and I would be thinking about the cookies like all night. I wouldn't be able to sleep. I could get through the daytime okay, because I would always push off, oh, just walk away, because if you break that seal, like you'll never be able to stop. And so it was always nighttime is where I had the hardest time managing. And so when I explained that to my husband, he's like, geez, like that sounds horrible. I'm like, yeah, it's awful. It would be great to just not have to deal with that. And so taking it out of the home, just like alcohol, we no longer had alcohol in the house. We just don't have it in the house. So these experiences, it's one less thing that you have to manage. In the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, it was one of the first books that I read when I was learning nutrition science through what we now teach in Awaken Your Nutrition, is that making the things that you don't want to do, if you can make them hard to do, you're going to be more successful, because then you don't have to self-regulate. So for me, I was like, well, this is a no-brainer. Alcohol and sugar and dessert out of the house. I don't have to regulate 24/7. Bringing it back to Instagram. If the app's just not on my phone, I don't have to regulate it anymore. As simple as that. And after about a year of my personalized version of dessert every night, I woke up one day and I'd gotten to the evening. I actually don't want this anymore. I'm good. I had a solid dinner. I'm having some tea. I feel amazing. And not to say that I didn't have it sporadically sometimes, but it stopped being this nightly thing. And so I was able to pull myself through by making some sort of temporary adjustment, but getting the things out of the house that were the hardest for me to manage. And it just gave me back so much more time and energy. And now I'm able to have boxes of cookies and sweets. They can be in the house and I'm not binging. That to me is everything. It's everything. So in my analogy of relating this to Instagram and being off of it for 3 days, having it off my phone, just checking on the computer as needed, getting back to people. Yes, here's the free link to our masterclass or whatever it is. That was enough for me to have the withdrawal symptoms to be like, ugh, gross, first of all. Gross that I had withdrawal symptoms from Instagram. Ew. And then really start to recenter and really call my energy back and just feel more grounded and coming forth in life in general from this place of creation and not consumption. I'm going to just pause there. I felt like I have been in a black hole of consumption and influence. And I have felt it's been about a month now, just absolutely life-changing. And I don't know how long it's been like this, but to feel so consciously awake from a month of being more mindful with only downloading the app to post what I need to post for business, for marketing, for work, and then shut that thing down and delete. It's been life-changing for me. And I feel much less consumed. I feel less influenced. I feel less like having this thing having its hooks in me of you need this business coaching program, you need this product, you need things that I didn't ask for any of that, but you're being hit with it consciously or subconsciously all the time. Having that put aside and actually having bandwidth and time and energy instead of just consuming to actually create and feeling more in my own energy than I have in I don't even know how long has been a gift. And so I wanted to film this podcast to invite you all, whoever is listening to this, I invite you to take a social media break. And if not social media, what is the thing that has its hooks in you? Where are you spending an inordinate amount of time that isn't giving back? It's not an equal exchange of value or benefit. Maybe it's someone in your life that it's a one-way relationship where someone calls you and trauma dumps and discusses all their problems and never asks if you're even available for that conversation. And it's a one-way thing. What is something that you can detox from and let it go? Not forever, maybe forever, but just seeing who are you without that thing? What is one thing that you feel attached to or that has its grip on you that doesn't feel nourishing or reciprocal or sustaining? Can you let it go? Can you release it for a little bit? And then you can always revisit and see how you feel. The times I am back on the app, quite literally, I'm downloading the app when I have a piece of content ready to go that I feel aligned with, that's educational, I will post and I'm good. And again, this could be with anything. It could be beyond Instagram. It could be on all social media. Who would you be and what would you do with your time without that thing that is pulling so much of your energy, but there's no actual benefit or reciprocal value? I actually see us healing from having real conversations with real people in real life. So really that's been my drastic shift in the past month, from going to a local gym, seeing real human beings in real life, getting off social media, largely shifting from, let's say, like 100% to maybe it's a 2, has been life-changing, game-changing, all the things. And that's the invitation. It doesn't have to be forever, but how long can you go? And notice and track and be aware of the energy that you get back and any more clarity that you get back. Maybe you're going to use that extra time and energy for something epic. That would be my wish for you if you're watching this now. If this resonated with you, let's talk about it. Let's have those real conversations. Step 1 is really not being ashamed or afraid to be like, yeah, this thing is freaking addictive and I can't stop scrolling. I cannot stop scrolling, especially at night. I know it's not good for me. Blue light, and I can't stop. We need to have these conversations, especially with technology, that there are greater forces that be that are overriding your ability to regulate. So we need to talk about it. If this resonated, let's chat, leave a comment, and I'll do my next solo pod on creatine. I have an update, so we'll see you next time.